We're going to talk about the frequency at which everything in the universe vibrates. Everything in the universe has resonance. The resonance is the frequency at which whatever you're looking at is going to vibrate. A brick has a frequency at which it's going to vibrate. Every cell in your body, cancer, believe it or not, has a resonance. It has a frequency at which it vibrates. A healthy cell has a resonance. Everything in the universe vibrates. Everything in the universe vibrates at a particular frequency, and we're going to talk about this and I'm going to alert you to a particular video with a very good explanation. We're going to talk about templates first. A template of action is simply when you create an interference pattern of two or more electronic waves that go together to create an overlapping pattern, a grid. And of course, that is a very simple explanation. On my Twitter, you're going to find a great explanation about something very speculative from the past. There was a time in the past, in the Cold War, when the famous Lieutenant Colonel Tom Bearden speculated that the Russians had mastered the template for inducing cancer. And in this particular video, you're going to have Dr. Joseph P. Farrell, who explains this stuff very well, explaining templates, explaining how EM weapons, a basic overview of one particular angle of how something like this would be done. But basically, and I'd like you to watch the video because it's a good introduction to templates. It sounds simple: two or more interfering electromagnetic waves that come together to create an overlapping pattern. You can do anything you want to with it. And so in theory, if blackbirds, red-winged blackbirds, had a different resonance than other birds, if let's say that the blackbirds had a different resonance, they're vibrating at a different frequency, it would be pretty straightforward. You create a template, an interference pattern by two or more electromagnetic waves, and just zap them. Just zap them and kill them, basically. Bye-bye blackbird. Final solution with no air pollution on blackbirds. That is a simple way to go about it, but there are way more complicated ways. You know, as long as there's this is the type of thing that I've been having a great deal of fun with, because you have a lot of speculation on this stuff behind the scenes. You know, sooner or later they're going to start coming out with things, and what I always say is, well, there's really nothing to worry about, because all races are equal, all races bleed red, all races descend from Lucy. There's speculation of them zapping humans. You know, bye-bye blackbird for real. You know, there's a famous racist song called Bye-Bye Blackbird. And there's speculation over this. Do they have it for different races? There's always been speculation over race-based weapon. But going about it through chemicals and whatnot is really messy. There's a much simpler way, if it could be done, if you create a template, if there is differences. But what I always say is, we're all the same, right? I mean, all my life, they've told us that all rabbits are equal. All rabbits descend from Lucy, the monkey in Africa 5 million years ago. All rabbits descend from Adam and Eve rabbit. All rabbits bleed red. All rabbits are perfectly identical. There's no such thing as race-based medicine. There's no such thing as skeletal differences. There are no differences in the races. And because there are no differences in the races, you really have nothing to worry about, right? This is my patented explanation. And when everything keeps dropping dead, what I've been saying is, well, it must have been the fireworks. You know, well, do I think they're going to use this again? Well, all races are equal, right? I mean, I've been brainwashed with that my whole entire life. You know, they say this in white countries and only white countries. They try to hammer white children with this. It's basically race-based warfare against white children, but they don't really talk about that. But this is my patented explanation. It's starting to get some parties really scared. Well, you know, if there are differences in races, you need to come out with it and being more honest. I mean, every week on Ameren, American Renaissance, they come out with some new race-based medicine. Why? Because there are differences. Now, the question you're asking me is, could these differences be exploited by electromagnetic weapons? Well, yes. Yes, they could be. Yes, they could be, in theory. We won't know about it until you go bye-bye blackbird. But my patented response is always, well, there's no such thing as race, so that's impossible. I mean, you can't say bye-bye blackbird because you'd kill all the rabbits in the area, right? And you could do that as well. With phase conjugate howitzers or Tesla howitzers, you could kill everything in the area, a Tunguska. You know, just zap everything in the area. But there are much more diabolical ways to go about it if you wanted to go about it. But of course, all that's impossible because there's no such thing as race, right? You know, there's some parties getting nervous on this planet. But if you had the template, if you had the grading for the difference, if you could design the grading pattern, and I'll put up a video, a great explanation of how it was theorized of turning cancerous cells into healthy cells, and the healthy cells into cancer cells. It's pretty wild stuff, but it's pretty straightforward actually. It kind of makes sense on a certain level, but this is something that it's another type of stealth technology where the Green Goddess is going to be stealth on it until it's too late for anyone to do anything. So to my Asian listeners, I have no idea. My particular opinion on scalar, EM weapons, torsion weapons is like a Christmas party where there is about a dozen planets, a dozen countries, dozen countries / groups, including Japan, that have a variety of little goodies, a variety of little torsion presents underneath that tree, a variety of little scalar presents underneath that tree. But someone out there, and I know her name's Godzilla. She has all the presents. She has the tree. She has the tree decorated. She has the Christmas party going. She has a picture of herself as a little star on top of the tree. She has the turkey dinner laid out on the table, and she has the front of the house decorated. She has all the goodies and has them all linked up on some level. Now, whether it's covert, overt, I don't know. Whether it's through Germanic fraternal structures, most likely. Whether it's through, who knows? Who knows? Could they link up heart fields and just deliver a knockout blow? Absolutely, if you have the templates. Chemical, race-based weapons and stuff like that, that's ugly stuff. There's much, much more easier ways to do about it, but all that's impossible because there's no such thing as race. And since there's no such thing as race, there would be nothing to exploit. You'd have to kill all the life on the planet. On the other hand, if there is such thing as, all birds aren't equal and the blackbirds are feasting on the little white turtle doves and the cardinals are screwing over the cardinals and they're raping and murdering and killing the blue jays and everything else, well, those birds get together, it's bye-bye blackbird. Whack. But of course that's impossible because all birds are equal. Now, if you're talking about differences are so out there as they resonate, they have a different resonance, they vibrate at a different frequency, I think it'd be pretty straightforward. It'd be pretty straightforward. But there's a lot of speculation. But it's reasonable speculation because sooner or later they're going to show it to you. If they're showing you a torsion type field put up over Norway, and that's the simplest explanation. The simplest explanation is the easiest. There's a patent on it going to 1983. His name's Eastman. It has to do with the heart fields in America. So there's a simple explanation for this stuff. There's a type of physics that they haven't unveiled to the public. One of the reasons is this physics is so encompassing. It's a game changer. It's also a great equalizer for white rabbits. In my opinion, you can't have haves and have-nots with this physics. You're not going to have different tiers of internet access. It covers everything. You're not going to have some people going without health care. It doesn't make any sense. It's such a game changer. One of the challenges with it is it's such a game changer that everyone would have the equivalent of their own little nuclear power plant on their house or something like that. And you really got to watch it because, someone may put up something, or some good old boy may put up something on Tennessee and decide to wage a Hatfield-McCoy's war once again in the 21st century and blow up the whole state. And that can happen with white rabbits. We go at it. So you really got to watch how you bring this stuff out, and I think that's been a big dilemma, but it's a great equalizer because it changes everything we know across the board overnight. But do I think, it is highly speculative, and I'll put up a video where Dr. Farrow talks about this is how it would be done, but it's all speculation. Lieutenant Colonel Tom Bearden has been at the forefront of speculation. Tesla was at the forefront of doing things. They talk about the Tunguska, that the accident in Siberia, being Tesla putting on a demonstration of a Tesla howitzer, which would be a phase conjugate howitzer. You wouldn't be some particle beam. You're dealing with nonlinear stuff. It's just you pick a grid on the map and just zap it. Now, again, it's speculative until you go bye-bye Blackbird. But my patented response when and we have this all the time in America. Over the past year, we've had animals drop dead, large groups of it. What I think about, well, it's fireworks. Do you think it's possible they could be doing this to humans? No, because all races are equal. You'd have to kill everyone, right? So that's my patented response. Sooner or later, when you're lying to the universe, and you're lying to the universe to try to kill white rabbits, sooner or later the universe is going to catch up with you. And the Green Goddess is going to come out with her famous song for the 21st century, and it may be Bye Bye Blackbird, Bye Bye Speckly Brown Bird, Bye Bye whatever she doesn't like. Lying bye. Hopefully it'll be Bye Bye Pink Rabbit first. But it is speculative, but it's the going thing. I mean, these explanations even end up on Huffington Post. Huffington Post is a big liberal. It's a lot of speculation, but I think it's kind of funny because these weapons would not be doable unless race is real. It's kind of funny, you know. So you're kind of between a rock and Godzilla. And that's not a good place to be in, but well, whatever. But I think a lot of countries have them. A lot of countries have variations. I have no doubt in my mind that Israelis have got a hold of something, all kinds of crazy stuff to use on Arabs because Israelis are nuts. But who has what and who has. I only know who did the first testing on this torsion type stuff, and that is goes back to the 30s, Germany, and the Glock. And we'll keep this conversation alive. And in the next segment, I'm going to go into speculation on Phobos Deimos. I'm going to talk about some legitimate Western mysteries, and we're going to talk about the moon. It's kind of interesting stuff. There's a movie coming out, and the movie, I'm going to come back to this in the end, and I'm going to talk about transformers. We're going to talk about torsion. We're going to talk about this physics again, torsion physics. We're going to talk about the Great Pyramid. We're going to talk about Transformers, but there's a new Transformers coming out. It's actually going to play in theaters first in Egypt. And it's about two sides, the Decepticons and the Autobots. And the Decepticons and the Autobots are basically in a race to get to the dark side of the moon, because the dark side of the moon creates relics toward a huge ancient space war between the Autobots and the Decepticons. It goes back to their first war. I'm going to get back to this in the end, but it's fascinating stuff when you get into the dark side of the moon, all the different stuff coming down popular culture. We're going to talk about it in a unique way, but there are some legitimate mysteries as well when it comes to the South Pole of the moon. And then in the end, we'll go into Phobos, Deimos, then the moon, and then in the end, I'm going to talk about the pyramid. I'm going to answer some more questions, or at least put you on the path of where the truth goes. But when it comes to EM weapons, scalar weapons, phased conjugate howitzers, Tesla howitzers, bye-bye Blackbird, we won't see it until it's too late. You know, Saddam Hussein didn't see the stealth bomber until he's getting laid open by him. That's just how we operate, even when we don't know we're operating like that. Now, do I think they've linked up heart fields? I don't. I know that the Russians and the Germans have. I'll bet money on it. Do I think there's, I've been asked this question about master templates. The rumor is that a template to grab a hold of other heart fields. That's wild stuff. The only ones capable of doing that are the Germans, simply because they're so ahead of the curve. They're so ahead of the curve, and they have a perfectly unified physics. Now, or at least that's what the rumor is. The rumor is the Germans have a perfectly unified physics. And I'm going to tell you a funny story about this. In the end, we're going to end it on a famous story about the Glock, or the Bell. This thing you see dancing around the Discovery Channel. But, or actually something that's actually true. But I don't know if they have all the heart fields linked. We wouldn't know about master templates until well after the fact. I do know that the pink rabbit eliters have been bent over the barrel. If they have deserted the other side, and we'll find out, it'll be obvious that something's gone wrong. It'll be overwhelmingly obvious at the war. But if that's true, then they would have linked up the heart fields. Now, whether or not the Germans have some master template that can grab other heart fields and stuff, you start talking about some wild stuff. But there is another way they could be covertly linked too. Fraternal organizations. What you think of as secret societies, which are the worst kept secret on the planet. But there's a variety of different ways they could do it and not say it, just do it, and no one would know about it. But that would go to breaking Team Pink Rabbit over the barrel. The Germans still have a base, the Luftwaffe base over in the out west in America. So who knows? Who knows? They're buying up stock exchanges, so it looks to be pretty straightforward to me. But we'll see when it happens. We'll see when it happens. But, move along here, folks. Nothing to see, nothing to see. It's just fireworks, it's just fireworks. All races are equal. There's no such thing as race, so all this is impossible, right? So every time a bunch of stuff drops dead, my patent response is, no, it was fireworks. Roman candles, bottle rockets. What are you looking at? Nothing to see, nothing to see. Move along, move along. I have no idea, though. But sooner or later, we're going to be seeing it. And this is the type of things that we're going to see ahead of time. And we'll come back to this in the end.